Ultimea has been making waves in the soundbar space this year with the Skywave X70, but not always for the right reasons. This includes some suspiciously worded user reviews posted on sites like Reddit, which read closer to ad copy than genuine commentary. Some of you pointed this out and even summoned us, which piqued our interest. Fast forward a little while, and it's here, it's tested, and boy do we have a lot to talk about. Hey, I'm Vanessa from Ratings.com, and let's get into it. The Ultimea Skywave X70 is a 7.14 soundbar system powered by Neural Core TM neural level processing. Just kidding. In normal terms, this is a soundbar that can play back surround sound content. Starting with the physical properties, this soundbar stands out from most others in a few ways. The bar itself ships in 3 separate pieces that you can connect with interlocking studs, making it easier to maneuver. Like this, but better. While this isn't a huge deal, it's kind of nice to see this attention to detail. Speaking of which, the overall design heavily features rose gold colored trim as part of the finish for the logo, brand name, and upfiring grills of the bar and its satellites. Meanwhile, the ported sub has a wood grain finish alongside a similar gold trim. Down in front, you've got an LED display for communicating basic information and simple touch controls on the top of the bar. The bar also comes with a remote that lets you control basic functions. For extra features and customizations, you can access the Ultimea companion app on your smartphone. Moving to the rear of the bar, the Ultimea has the usual inputs: an optical port, HDMI eARC, and an HDMI in. Unfortunately, the bar doesn't support 4K 120Hz signal pass-through, capping out at 4K 60Hz with 444 chroma subsampling. Your gaming experience won't be great with pass-through either, since the bar can't handle VRR. You do get wireless playback via Bluetooth, but no specialty services like Apple AirPlay or Spotify Connect. Here's where things start to go south for the Skywave X70. The bar doesn't support any DTS formats. Sadly, that means you won't be able to immerse yourself in any DTS-X Blu-rays that you already own. It's a bit strange, but we were able to get standard DTS working over optical. For the formats that are supported, latency is very good across our tested input configurations. Bass, bass, bass is the name of the game for the Ultimea Skywave X70. The brand didn't hesitate to push the 10-inch subwoofer to its limits. And while you'll be greeted by plenty of rumble and boom in response, the bass tends to spill into the mids, muddying dialogue during action scenes. Darkening the soundbar's signature further, treble roll-off past the 3 kHz can bury instruments like cymbals and hi-hats in the mix when the bass is active. We tested the bar in standard mode without the X upmix feature, boosting the low end and pushing more audio to the satellites. Like many of the recent bars we've tested, the Ultimea uses non-stereo drivers even when playing stereo content, which deteriorates positioning accuracy of instruments in purposefully mastered recordings. Sound objects at the edges of the soundstage are reproduced by the satellites too. This can be jarring, as playback jumps from the bar to behind you in content that prominently features panned instruments. The bar does get plenty loud, but the subwoofer will throttle before you hit its max volume setting. So what happens when we feed the soundbar multi-channel test signals? Bass, bass, bass once again. The center, surround, and to a lesser extent, height channels all reproduce our test signals with a prominent low end that can bloat dialogue and cause effects to sound distractingly boomy. We usually fold our subjective impressions throughout the review to supplement our measurements, but we felt the need to include a dedicated section for the Ultimea to better contextualize its performance outside of test signals. With stereo content like music, the soundbar renders vocals as what's described as artificially muffled, particularly when eclipsed by the overactive subwoofer in tracks of Ray of Light by Madonna. This isn't well represented by the frequency response either, as we continue to experience a lack of definition in the vocals, even after tweaking the bass and treble to more closely match our in-room target. In multi-channel content, we unfortunately notice similar issues with dialogue, further exacerbated by the introduction of bassy sound effects. Even with the improved mixing of Tenant's post-theatrical release, don't expect to hear much of the protagonist's dialogue over Ludwig Göransson's synthy soundtrack and the film's inverted explosions. Height and surround cues reproduced by the soundbar and rears also weren't as convincing or as well balanced as we would have liked. skewing objects with any verticality behind you rather than above. While you can tweak the levels of the height channels, you can't adjust the upfiring drivers on the bar and satellites independently to fix this problem. In line with competitors like the JBL Bar 1000 MK2, the Ultimea also supports adjustments to the bass, treble, and surround levels. That said, it doesn't support any form of room correction. While we have our share of critiques of the Ultimea Skywave X70, we don't think it's a bad product. And if you thrive off bass and prioritize immersion, this could be the soundbar for you. The brand isn't shy about its position as a value pickup, as you can see from their marketing, and we think it's an excellent angle, given the rising cost of, well, everything. But can the Skywave X70 live up to the claim of best value and an unbeatable price? Unsurprisingly, the answer is, well, it depends. Since soundbars get discounted so often, let's work with the current prices and do some comparisons. Ultimea has kindly offered up the S brand as a competitor, so let's figure out what brand they could possibly be referring to. A Samsung. Let's go with the HW-Q990D, not the HW-Q990F, since the 2024 soundbar performs nearly the same and sees discounts much more frequently. The Q990D has 4 extra channels on the bar and satellites in total, bringing its overall channel count to 11.14. It more closely resembles our in-room target in stereo and multi-channel content, while bringing an extra touch of warmth without going too overboard. While it's a smidge quieter than the Ultimea, the Samsung gets close and hits its max volume without as much compression. Add on room correction, DTS support, and HDMI 2.1 inputs, and it's clear that the Samsung is a better option for most people. Now, let's have a look at the bar's current pricing. We think the extra $100 to $200 for the Samsung is probably worth it if you have the room in your budget. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. The answer isn't as clear-cut when you put the Ultimea head-to-head against a similarly priced soundbar like the TCL Q85H. The TCL center, surrounds, and height channels reproduce audio with a downward sloping frequency response. Its subwoofer isn't active in our synthetic tests that isolate these channels, but this doesn't matter too much since the sub activates with real media. The two $700 bars go back and forth on feature support too. The Ultimea has more independent level adjustments and a customizable EQ, while the TCL counters with room correction and more format support. Plus, you can pass through 4K 120Hz with VRR and ALLM support on the TCL, making it the better option if you're planning on gaming. So, despite the lofty claims and very deliberate comparisons against competing brands, the Ultimea Skywave X70 isn't quite the Lisan al-Gaib of value soundbars, but it could be. If the brand can wrangle the bar's tuning to produce a more refined sound, improve the processing of voices and sound effects in real media, and somehow fit DTS licensing at their current price point, they could very well topple the pre-existing hierarchy of soundbar brands. Until that happens, I'm Vanessa from Ratings.com, where we help you find the best soundbar for your needs. Goodbye.